Hi and welcome to the Famous Fitness Podcast. In the podcast today, we're going to talk about the dangers of obesity and also the dangers of being overweight. Then leading on from that, we're going to talk about whether or not it's best to be on a diet or to have a change of lifestyle. Then finally, after that, we're going to talk about a secret technique that you can implement today to help you regardless if you choose to go on a diet or for a lifestyle change. So, without further ado, let's begin. So the dangers of being obese or overweight are just there if you look at the numbers. So it's increased dramatically over the last decade. The population of Britain now is about 35% are overweight, about 29% are obese. Now with the increased levels of obesity and being overweight, it's now led to an increase of people dying from being overweight and obesity. Now this is dying directly from it or from diseases or issues relating to being overweight and obese. Now the death toll in 2017, I believe, was about 530,000 people died. Now, to put that into context, the D-Day rescue land of all the troops, it estimates between 300,000 to 330,000 troops were evacuated from the beaches. Now, that's 200,000 less than what people die in Britain from obesity and being overweight. So we have a major event that we celebrate where 300,000, 330,000 troops are rescued, but every single year in this country, an extra 200,000 people die just for being overweight and being obese. So it's an issue that definitely needs to be looked at if you look at it and compare it to what's happened before in the past. Now, if we look at the number of 530,000 people who have died from being overweight or having obesity, if that death toll came from any other sort of source or any other avenue, say it was bird flu, swine flu, imagine there was a popular brand of car and there was a faulty part in it, which then led to these number of deaths, or there were some floods that happened not too long ago actually, but that was across the country, and these events caused the death relating up to 530,000 people. Well, it'd be a national disaster. It would be a national disaster, and we'll be completely shocked by it that this could happen to us here in Britain. But yet that happens every single year due to obesity, and it happens every single year due to being overweight. Now, there's one thing that I have noticed recently, and that there's definitely more of an awareness of obesity and being overweight. But it's one thing to be aware of the problem, and it's something completely different to solve the problem. So, for example, like you may know that your next door neighbour has a dog that's just crazy. As soon as you go up to the door to knock on it, you know the dog's going to come running out and try and bite you. Like you may know that, you have full knowledge of that. But it's one thing to know that's going to happen, but if you put nothing in place to stop that dog running out and biting you, you can know about that danger as much as you can. The danger's still going to be there. So having the awareness of the danger is one thing, but actually coming up with solutions to deal with the problem is something completely different. So we go through some of the factors and the risks that can come along through obesity and being overweight. So you've got high blood pressure, high cholesterol. This can also go to heart disease, cardiac failure, cardiac arrest, also pains with your joints as well because the extra weight is carrying. It can lead to problems with your vital organs. If you're a female, it can lead to complications with being pregnant. Again, if you're a man, it could also lead to complications of having children in the first place. Now, that's just to touch on some of the issues physically. Then that's not even touching on some of the issues we'll deal with mentally. Now, when it comes to weight gain, more so in women, a lot of it can be emotional, but that also then has a mental effect on people as well. So low in confidence, low self-esteem, high levels of anxiety, they don't feel like they're good enough. Now all this gets related through not eating properly. Now I understand where it comes from because it's quick and easy to get the meals, it's convenient, you don't need to make the time to prep those meals, but it then leads on to all these physical complications, and also most importantly, it leads on to all these mental complications as well. Now I think we can all agree mental issues are very dangerous because it's something you just don't see. You will see someone walk past you down the street and you think, oh, there's nothing wrong with them, but in their mind there could be something ticking around that they don't want to be dealing with. Now for me personally, I love kids, I think kids are fantastic. But even the rate of obesity and being overweight is growing in kids at the moment, and at an alarming rate as well. Now what they've shown is that adults who deal with high levels of anxiety and depression and social issues, a lot of it can be traced back to being bullied at school. Now unfortunately, when a kid's overweight and they're at school, there's even more of a chance that they will get picked on, they will get bullied, as horrible as that is to say. Now, but that can all be overturned and that could be stopped, or it could be minimized if they're just taught how to be healthy, how to eat clean, and just be active slightly, instead of just going for the quick and convenient meals all the time. In our society, we always tend to go to the extremes. So a few years ago, they were talking about how all the models are stick thin, there's not an ounce of muscle or fat on any of them. And I agree with that. You look at them and they were just stick thin. No strength, didn't look very healthy at all. But then if the rate of being that thin and anorexia was the same level of obesity and being overweight, well then I'll be doing a video about that, because there are health issues that come along with being that size. But then the way we deal with it in society is that we then introduce plus size models. And I understand the meaning and the message behind plus size models. It's accepting people for who they are. I agree with that. And it's about being inclusive. I totally agree with that. But you can be accepting as much as you want, and you can be inclusive as much as you want. But the health risk and factors are still going to be there. So it's all well and good saying we accept you for who you are, but if you're accepting them for who they are, which then in turn could lead to them getting heart attack, type 2 diabetes, arthritis, osteoporosis, shortening their life by 10 to 15 years, well then really how accepting are you for them? Because you should be having their best interests at heart. So we always tend to sort of jump from one to the other, where the message that should be putting out is that be the healthiest you can possibly be, and in whatever weight you happen to be from that, then stick to that. But always aim to be healthy. That's what we should be doing. But we always tend to go from one extreme to the other. With there being physical and mental problems that can come from being overweight and obesity, let's find out a way to solve it. So as we touched on earlier, it's one thing to know that there's problems and dangers with it, but let's find a solution and really get down to solving this problem. Now, the first thing you need to do when it comes to solving this problem is decide the approach that you want to take. Now, the approach you can take can either be going on a diet or making a decision to have a change of lifestyle. Now, if you choose to have a diet or if you choose to make a change to your lifestyle, there are pros and cons to each of them. So first of all, let's go through the pros and cons of each one. So first of all, lifestyle. I'm sure you may have heard it before, where people may have said to yourself or other people, you need to change your lifestyle. Now, sometimes this can relate to you're smoking too much, you're drinking too much, you're out partying at the weekends. So they say to you that you need to sit down and just look at your lifestyle and make it a little bit better. Now, your lifestyle also applies to your eating habits as well. Now, where it becomes difficult is that there's a lot of work that's involved, because for you to change your lifestyle, you need to sit back, be completely honest with yourself, maybe deal with a few hard truths that come along the way, and sometimes you need to make just wholesale changes. Everything needs to change, so it can involve a lot of work. Also as well, you've got to make sure that you can get things working with your everyday life. So you've got to make sure you've got time to prep your meals, go to the gym. So all that stuff takes a lot of work to do. And with us being human beings, we're creatures of habit. So if you've had a habit of eating a particular way and in a certain routine for years and years and years and years, it can be very difficult to overcome that and to change it. However, the pros of change of lifestyle is that it syncs in perfectly with your lifestyle. So once you get used to prepping your meals, getting the food in with your shopping, going to the training sessions, once that's done and once you've got through that amount of work to get it all up and running, once it syncs in perfectly with your everyday life, then it doesn't become a chore. It doesn't become an additional thing that you have to do. It's because it is just part of your lifestyle. Now, it's when it becomes a chore, it starts to, over time, get a little bit annoying to do, or you find excuses not to do it. Once that starts to happen, the old habits start to come back in again, you see. So the pros is that once it's sorted and it's up and running, it syncs in perfectly with your everyday life. So it doesn't seem like it's additional work. Now, once it syncs in perfectly with your everyday life, it just flows beautifully, day to day, day to day, day to day. Going on a diet. The loose term of being on a diet is a specific way you eat your food to reach a specific weight goal. Now that's sort of a very loose term, but that's sort of the gist of what a diet is. The con of a diet is that there are so many options of it. You've got fad diets, you've got celebrity diets. Celebrity diets that always tend to come out just before summer or just around Christmas time, in time for the new year. And there's a term called paralysis by analysis. There could be so many options that you don't really pick the thing that's right for you. Or you pick an option, you start working at it, but then maybe your favorite celebrity or one of your friends may be saying that, oh, they're trying this diet. So you'll stop that diet and you'll jump to that diet. And you end up just jumping instead of just sticking to one. One of the other problems with a diet as well is once you have hit that weight and you've achieved your target, what's the thought process in terms of carrying on with the diet? So again, we touched on earlier, like the term of a diet is the way you eat to reach a specific goal. But then what happens once that goal's reached? A lot of times you think, well, I've reached it now, so then you start to slack a little bit off the diet and you don't stay as committed to it as you were until the point you reached your target. However, some of the pros of a target is that if you're looking to go away for holiday and you know you've got, say, 6 weeks to 2 months, to go on a diet, you say it's fine because I know in 2 months I need to lose a certain amount of weight before I go on this holiday, or there may be a wedding that's coming up or a big special occasion, so you want to look the part, you want to be looking sort of snazzy on that special day, so you say to yourself, okay, this is how I'm going to eat and this is what I'm going to be doing up until a point I reach this date here. For my personal preference and in my opinion, I'd always recommend to people to work on a change of lifestyle. We touched on earlier, there are pros and cons to both of them. If you're looking for short-term weight loss because you've got a holiday or a wedding coming up, okay, go on a diet, get the results, have that special day, and then go from there, see what you can do. But if you're looking for long-term results, life-changing results, where it's not a chore, you're not bored of what you're doing, it sinks in perfectly with your everyday life and you enjoy it, then that's where a change of lifestyle comes into play. And we touched on earlier, one of the cons of it is that it does take a while to get there. But once you do get there and everything sinks perfectly into your everyday life, then the chances of you carrying on that lifestyle and keeping that weight off, being fit, being healthy, it then grows even more the more you start doing it. So I'd always recommend for people, work on a change of lifestyle instead of going on a diet. So I touched on at the start of this podcast that I'm going to be showing you a technique that you can implement to help you along the way, regardless if you choose to go on a diet or to have a change of lifestyle. Now, if you choose to go on a diet or if you choose to have a change of lifestyle, it is completely up to you. All I would do is just offer my opinion on what I think would work best. But if you want to go on a diet, you go on a diet. If you want to put the work in and have a change of lifestyle, then you go and do exactly that. But regardless of what you decide to do, there's one technique and one powerful tool that you should know which will help you get along the way, and that's the power of no. Being able to say no to things ends up being a fantastic superpower to have, and it's very difficult at first because we have touched on how human beings are creatures of habit, so it can be hard to change existing habits to replace them with healthy habits along the way. But the power of no is so important because going on a diet or a change of lifestyle, you are going to need to change what you're eating, and you will need to say no to the junk food, and you will need to say no to all the distractions that are going to come your way. Now, this can be very, very difficult, and it's one of the hardest things for people to get and for people to use. And it's understandable. No one really wants to say no to people. You want to be polite, you want to be accepting. But once you understand the power of no, it's fantastic. Once you've said it a few times, once you've been sitting in the office, and it's a Friday, and sometimes Fridays in the office are cake days. Once the cakes are going round and the cake has gone up to you, once it's been a couple of times, you've gone around and said, thank you very much, I'm okay, cheers. Once that's happened, something that starts happening in your brain, you do start feeling to yourself, I feel quite good I said no to that. Because what happens is you start to realise that you're working for yourself. You're not letting the distractions get to you. You're not letting the immediate reward of having that cake overcome the final objective, which is to get to your designated target. So once you're able to say no a couple of times, you start to get used to it. So it's always knowing that the power of no, just 2 letters, no, fine, thank you very much. Once you've done that a few times, it is fantastic. So regardless if you go on a diet or if you want to change a lifestyle, start to implement, start to use and understand the power of no, and it will help you along the way. Guys, thank you very much for your time. As per usual, it's been a fantastic time doing the podcast. If there's any questions that you have, or if there's anything that you would like me to discuss on the next podcast, please drop me an email, drop me a text, or get in contact with me on our social media platforms, and I'll formulate a podcast based on your feedback. Guys, apart from that, enjoy your day. All the